You're listening to the Wedding Biz Network, the voice of the creative entrepreneur. Hey everyone, it's Andy Kushner, host of The Wedding Biz, in which I conduct in-depth and revealing interviews of icons and those who I feel are the next generation icons of the weddings and event industry. And this is all to provide you with education and inspiration. And I'm so excited because I've had my 2 shots, and so I am taking my first trip to New York City in well over a year to celebrate my birthday with various family members. And then while I'm there, I'm going to see some great friends in the industry, including Sylvia Weinstock and Preston Bailey and Phil Van Nostrand, all 3 of which who have been on the show. And I will be interviewing Christina Matucci again, and this time at David Beam's office. Christina will be my first in-person interview since the pandemic started. Whew, I'm very excited. So before I introduce today's special guest, let me just mention that if you would like to get my top 10 tips for dealing with stress, which I've taken from my interviews with icons of the business, go to theweddingbiz.com/top tips. Again, that's theweddingbiz.com/top tips. So if you missed last week's episode, it was with Holly Chappell, owner and president of Holly Chappell Flowers. Great interview. And now for today's guest, it is Dewi Kurniadi, who founded Sweet Bloom Cakes in 2008, an extremely popular and successful Sydney-based boutique studio offering custom design, handcrafted cakes, cut confections, and personalized event experiences. And along with topics about the details of creating and running her business, we talk about her personal journey prior to making the leap into being an entrepreneur. We also go deep into what it took to make a major geographical move, deal with immense challenges, and forge her own path. Dewi let herself be honest and vulnerable, and we go behind the scenes in a variety of ways. This is a real inspirational conversation, so enjoy my interview of Dewi Kurniadi. Hey, Dewi, it's so good to have you on The Wedding Biz, all the way from Australia. This is really fun.
Thank you.
And so I want to start, there's an interesting quote on your website that I really love, and it says, "Fascinated by the movement and magic of nature, Dewi wishes to create this sense of ethereal beauty on her cakes." That is just such a beautiful statement, and it makes sense to me because there's it's almost like an understated elegance to your cake design. I feel like they come right out of a painting.
Oh, yes. I guess all the works from Sweet Bloom Cakes, it is inspired by the fashion, like all the, like fashion and also floral, because that's something that I love.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you sort of notice that as well, like on every design, we try to incorporate all those like wave translucent, that looks like a fabric, but it's actually made out of eatable stuff. So, yeah.
It's really interesting because even before I read that quote, when I looked at the images, the pictures, I could see the movement. I've never seen anything like it on a cake before. And, I know that when you grew up, I would have assumed that you were in some kind of, I don't know, that you were painting or some kind of the arts. But from what I understand, your family history is actually in hotel and restaurant management. Is that right?
Yes, actually, my whole family, they're all in the hospitality industry. Like whether they're running a restaurant or a hotel, yeah, it is true. I guess you read through my about us on the website.
I did. And I know that you also moved from Indonesia to Australia at 5 years old. Why did your family make such a move?
It's actually, if I can correct that, it's actually not 5. It's not like it wasn't like since I was 5, but I'm only been in Australia about, now it's like 15 years, 16 years.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I don't have family here. It's only me by myself and the kids. So I'm only moved to Australia about 16 years ago and, left my country and decided to stay here because I brought here by my husband. So we kind of like settled down here, and that's where all the journey began.
Well, even before we get there, I'm kind of curious, when you were growing up, was there any passion for doing what you're doing today, or did that come at a much later time?
It's actually that came much later time because, knowing that you grow up, I grew up in an Asian culture background. So obviously I didn't get to do what I want to do. And I never study any art form or even like cake or pastry or whatever it is that I'm at now. But again, it was just something that I knew, like, the passion, it just goes really strong in me. Like, so when I came to Australia about 16 years ago, obviously, I started from nothing here. And because I didn't know at all about this country, so I've been working in various different places and put cake business as a side business, like, because I didn't want to go to the hotel management anymore. I did work for a hotel before in Indonesia for a good 3-4 years, but again, I left that and thought I want to try something different. When I worked for retailers in Australia, and I thought, you know what, I really always want to do like cake as a business, and because that's something that I really love to do. Baking, it was baking, and I think design as well. It was something that I really want to do. And yeah, it was just, I never knew that this is just become something that really amazing. The journey has been really amazing.
Well, it's interesting to me, if I could, it's very interesting that a little while ago you were saying that you were not able to do what you wanted to do. And I guess that's the culture that, right, of the Asian, that's the Asian culture, that you weren't from where you came from, that your parents.
Yes.
That's so interesting. What is it that you wanted to do when you were young? I mean, were you already interested in cakes at that age?
Not the cake, but then again, I always wanted to be a fashion designer.
Oh, a fashion designer. Okay, that makes sense. I get it now.
I really love fashion, but my family always say no to me. Just they always wanted me to be like, how Asian, they always force their kids to be like a doctor, accountant, whatever, all those,
But how did you feel about that? I mean, were you kind of rebelling in a sense, or was it just?
Yes, absolutely.
You were. How did you do that? How did you rebel?
Wow, interesting question here. I think I did quite a lot of things to try to get out.
Yeah.
I kind of left. I just hate school. Always, I always hate school because I guess it's a lot of the things that put me under pressure and expectation. And I just try to do things that I like to do. Since I still remember when I was I think finished high school, my mom and my dad always ask me every Christmas, what things do you want? Because my sister got a new laptop and new gadget and things like that. But I always tell them I just want to have an oven so then I can try to bake the cake, sell to the neighborhood. And I was just trying to explore things more.
And yet eventually you went into sales, right, and events for these prestigious hotels. When you decided that you wanted to finally get into cake design, did you just simply leave the job? I mean, was it just a big leap of faith that you took?
Yes, it was a big leap of faith because before I started these Switzerland cakes, I actually worked for quite a big company, like a fashion retailers as well in Australia. Then I was like a manager.
Oh.
A few stores as well in Sydney. So I just kind of stepped down, step down bit by bit, and then reducing the hours while I'm working so hard, on the side for Switzerland cakes. Countless, sleepless nights, and I can't even tell you, really, to be honest with you, it was such a long journey. But I don't know if a lot of people ask me this question, but I couldn't really figure out what it was, because what pursuing me from, from the start, it was just, I guess I just stay focused because I know I know myself really well, in the sense of, if I want to get it, I will work hard for it. And I don't really care about what people say. I'm not here. Even until today, I try to tell myself, you just got to stay focused, work hard for it. Don't listen to the right or left. And because that actually kind of a sidetracks for you. And you might, instead of you going straight, you're not going to hit your goal straight, because if you just have too many, things on your sides, I don't think you're going to hit what the goal that you have in front of you.
Well, it really is. I have a similar story. I used to sell for IBM and for Lexmark. I mean, a major Fortune 500 company. And I always wanted to do music because I have a band business, music and entertainment. And I'll never forget. Yeah, I was in those companies and I was also in sales like you. I was learning, but it just wasn't feeding my heart, And I remember it was so frustrating. And people would say to me, like, you've got a really good, pay. You've got really good compensation. It's a very solid job. And I remember thinking, yeah, but I'm just not happy. I have to go for it. It's almost like, I like to talk about taking the leap and assuming that the net is going to appear. Do you know what I mean? Just making that assumption.
Yeah, I get it. It is really funny, isn't it? When you look back, especially like it's just something that you think is impossible to be happening in life. But yeah, and then if I have to think about like the past, I don't know like how to explain that. But again, I'm just grateful enough. Like now, Sweet Bloom Cakes, I think we in this studio we almost hit 9 years.
Great.
This is alone started from home. It's been almost 13 years this year.
Wow.
It's quite a long journey.
How was the transition from going full-time, in terms of going full-time with Sweet Bloom Cakes? What was that like when that happened? What was that transition like where you could finally just do it full-time? Or was it a very slow, gradual build-up?
I have to say it was quite slow, gradual build-up. But again, I always dream big. That's just me. And I always tell myself, if I want something, I will then like really work hard for it. Working hard is a one thing, but the second thing is just knowing that, you're going to get there one day. And then, of course, I have to look within myself, whether
Yes.
I have the ability, like, the shape of everyone is different here. Like some people, I don't want to just follow my dream because of the feeling, you know what I mean? Based on the feeling.
Yes.
I think this is feel good about, I feel good about this talent, then I just pursuing and then do it. I think we're just going to hit the failure there. But then again, for me, I look within myself and then I realize, okay, this is my strength and this is my weakness. Then I'm just going to go to the path that I can just keep sharpening the gift that I have given. And yeah, it's just really amazing how I see everything just kind of like really like, yeah, it was just amazing.
Do you feel like you've arrived, like you've I mean, obviously, you're on paper, you're very successful, you're known, you're doing really well. Do you still feel like you're struggling to get to that level? Do you ever feel that way?
I have to say, Andy, the past 2-3 years, I think I kind of know exactly what I want to take this business to, which direction. So, having that insecurity or fear or anxiety, of course, I used to have all of those feelings, but not anymore now. Although, yeah, of course, sometime in some day when you work under pressure and stress, you'll get that sometimes. But again, it was just kind of different feeling. You know what I mean? But now I just feel more confidence, and because we know exactly the capacity of the team and who the people that work behind me, it was just amazing. They all pretty much started since the door opened here. So, and I'm so grateful to have the people as well that can help me to extend it the wings, because them, I won't be able to do anything. The confidence came from the team behind this place, behind the brand. And I'm just so grateful here.
But how did you learn, well, I guess maybe it was from your jobs in the event business. I'm wondering, how did you learn how to build a team that can support you in the way that you needed?
Okay. I actually learned from my family because they're all in the business. They're all, I was born with this business blood probably. In my family, I've been watching my grandma, my dad, although they run a business like back home, they do it like kind of like an old-fashioned ways, but I know how, through seeing them, I can see what is the meaning of love, the meaning of love, and be patient, have that compassion, and also be generous, to everyone. And also that is the foundation of all. Because, when people say that you need a certain amount of money to invest in your business and you got to do this, you got to do that. And you just start, the moment you see that, as the key point to run your business, you're going to lose everything. Because I think the main investment in the business is the people. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about how much talent. It's not about how much knowledge that you have, but it's all about the people. You want to build them and to have the same value and to always have the same vision and mission as well. So then in order to have that, you can then be together. It's like a part of the body. You know what I mean? You can, as much as you're smart in your brain, you won't be able to do anything without your hands and your eye. You'll have that differences, but through that differences, you actually feel like each other, and you actually, you can only make perfect by having one extra and the other like one less from the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So obviously, the way you support your team, it sounds, it's obviously you really give them a lot of focus and I would guess that you empower them and they feel like a part of a family.
Yes, that's what I've been doing. And obviously, this is like a learning, like from the day one, I only just work by myself until I have one extra, two, until how many of us now? I think 6 or 7 in a team. It is not easy. Like, the hardest part when you have like people, when you work with people, it's just like how you deal with everyone, character differences. Like, like I said, I just always see them like family here, and then try to always like empower them, encourage them. And yeah, I guess patience and love is just one thing that's very important here.
Oh, geez, you're inspiring me. Because I have, between the podcast business and the music business, I have 2 different teams of people, and you're reminding me that, to focus, I need to focus on the team. I want to be sure you know the wonderful news of our latest show, Stop and Smell the Roses, with acclaimed lifestyle and event design expert Preston Bailey. Not only will he share the secrets, tools, and technologies behind his extraordinary ability to create a theatrical environment out of any space, you will also discover more about the man behind the magic. Preston will reveal how his focus on personal growth has been the root of his professional success, and you'll have the opportunity for him to answer your questions along the way. Plus, Preston will be inviting onto the show many of the star celebrities he has worked with in the past, so you don't want to miss a single episode. We also have another great show on the Wedding Biz Network, The Business of Being Creative, with host Sean Lowe. Since debuting last May, his show has really taken off, and he's continuing to bring you the creative business advice he's shared with accomplished industry notables. Be sure to take advantage of Sean's talkback opportunity by recording questions and comments from right there in each episode's show notes. So, if you are a creative who is turning your craft into a business or want to take it to another level, head to theweddingbiznetwork.com and take a listen to Stop and Smell the Roses with Preston Bailey and The Business of Being Creative with Sean Lowe. That's theweddingbiznetwork.com. I'd like to switch to a different area now. I would love to know what your process is, what it's like when you first meet a wedding client. How is it that you come up with your inspiration for the design that you're going to do for a specific couple? If you could take me through that would be interesting.
Yes. So I always start by listen. Like, for me, listening to them is very important thing. That is the main ingredients for you to understand what they really want me to do in terms of like bring that into a wedding cake, like a product that represent their, big day, that also can reflect all the stuff, all the things, the story behind the relationship or anything, like, from the couple. So first of all, I always ask them what makes them to choose Sweetbloom Cakes to be part of their, big day, because there's always a why, referral by other people or Google or Instagram, that kind of things. Second of that, I ask them as well, like, I just let them to chat with me, just having that conversation to understand, like, what exactly they like, what exactly they don't like and what kind of style. And then I also like to get at who are the suppliers that involved in their wedding. So then, because most of the time I work with different suppliers in the wedding industry in Australia here. So then I kind of understand each of the florist style or, the vibe that they're going to. So that makes it easy for me to put things together.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're getting them to show you like whatever the tabletop design, the floral arrangement. They're sending you. That's how you're starting to get your colors and the images. It sounds like that's how it's starting.
Yes, yes. And I also try to encourage them not to look at other people cake design and get me to copy that. Because
Right.
yeah, I try to encourage them to, to think about everyone is different. And every wedding cake that we produce here is actually unique for its own. So it's a tailor-made as well. So it's not something that we don't want to do something that that someone sees from the other people Instagram or other people cake album and stuff, and then they bring it here and ask us to copy that, because I truly believe art is not all about like copy paste. It's really knowing like what exactly the bride wants me to do, and the bride and the groom, and they also they trust us to do what we think is also great to do on their design and stuff, and also incorporate what other stuff as well they're gonna have on their wedding day, from the wedding dress, from the flowers, everything.
Would it be possible for you to give me a story, perhaps, of maybe one of your favorite couples, what kind of information you got, and if you're able to describe in words, how you then manifested it in a cake for them? I mean, just a story, if you can think of one.
Oh gosh, so many story. I have to think what that really. I think the last that I just did about couple months ago. This couple, she wants me to incorporate doves, like on her wedding cake. And I asked her, why do you want the dove to go on the wedding cake? Because she was telling me about her grandfather was, I think they love dove or something like, I'm not sure what they really like into dove about these kind of things, but they said like it just really, her grandfather just passed away about 6 months ago, where the COVID was, I think the first 6 months when the COVID hit, I think. And then they said like, so then her grandfather missed this, opportunity to join the wedding, that kind of thing. So she's very close with her grandfather. So then she was asking me if it's possible to incorporate the dove on the wedding cake. And I said to them, yeah, sure, why not? And we just sort of made this 2D little dove that we can incorporate. I think we did incorporate it to the lace of the wedding cake, and also the 3D little dove as well in the different sizes that goes in between the sugar flowers, to be scattered on the wedding cake as well. So I think that's what the latest one that I still remember.
Oh, it's so sweet. I mean, the emotional connection to the grandfather who passed away and had to miss the wedding. It's just a beautiful image. It's really moving.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's quite sentimental as well for the family.
What kind of challenges have you run into? I mean, have you had major frightening, experiences like with bad weather affecting the cake? I mean, have you had any really major challenges that you did not expect and how you were able to overcome them?
Yeah, it's a lot. Honestly, it's a lot of predictable moment here. But yeah, well, I guess it's most of the time it's just the delivery with a lot of the new design, new structural cake that we do here. It is quite challenging in terms of like delivering to the venue and get it safe there. It was just something that we really have to really like be careful and think about just before we heading to the venue and stuff like that. Often when we do cakes here, we always check on the weather as well, weather forecast, because that's very important for us because we do a lot of sugar work. So it is affect from the humidity, like, all that kind of stuff. I can't even, I don't have it in my mind at the moment. Sorry, but I think that's just like one, two things that I remember. Like, it's always a challenge to, in terms of like delivering the cake to the venue when we make the new like design in terms of like the structure, because we like to play in a different dimension of cake, not just going with square or round. Sometimes when you stack oval and oval, diamond shape, square, or whatever it is, then we got to figure out like the internal structure. It's actually very important as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I can't even imagine the kinds of situations and issues that you've had to deal with all along the way. What about, you have your art, you have your business? I mean, I get the impression that for you, the business is not really a problem. It's not a challenge. It does not get in the way of your art. I just somehow get the sense that you've figured out a way to integrate the two together. So is that true? Like for instance, Dewi, there's some people I've interviewed who have said to me that they look at business as a creative act, and that's how they can actually enjoy the business. I mean, how do you feel about having to deal with all the logistics and just that aspect of your business?
I see it as a learning process, because although we've been here for good years, and I would never see that I've done everything, I've learned anything, like, everything that I have learned. I still see like every day is a learning process for all of us here, not just like the team, but also myself, because the new challenges and things like that, it was just giving you like a new, how do you say it? Like, it's just giving you like a new perspective, like how you want to see it. And again, like, and also shape you to be a better person each day, because it is required a lot of like humility, how for example, me sitting as a leader here, as a business owner here, sometimes is you just easily think like, easily for you to think like, oh, well, I have the authority here that I can think that I've done everything. I know everything. So I can just like seeing my team member is just like a number, just someone that helped me, or few of these people. It's just like helping me to go through where I am. But then again, I always say to myself, no, that's not the right way to run a business, because it's not about having the right people, or it's not about like having the right knowledge to hit your success. I think for me, success is all about like how you really humble yourself and take every day is like a learning process, new challenge, and whatever it is. I think it's just like I said again, I love my job as much as the same way as I love these people here. And I don't see it like every day is like a burden for me to come to work, or although I know it's some of the day that I have to face all the stress and the pressure because of client request or requirement from each job. But yeah, I enjoy it, because I think this is also the practice of love through the job.
Ah, wow. That's beautiful. How does your family feel about what you've done since you went against their wishes in the beginning? How do they feel about it now?
They never agree for me to come to this country. They always to come and settle down here, because they really want me to continue what the family has started, obviously, back home. I have no choice, because the man that I married is actually settled down here. So I just have to follow him. And here I am, started, like my life here. And yeah, my family always say to me, it's, you don't never think that, by going to Australia, you're gonna have like a better life. By leaving your family, you're gonna have like a better standard of life and stuff like that. But like I say, now that I'm sitting here talking to you, even make me realize that I never have regret, Andy, because I knew exactly what I want in life. It's not about like the success that that piling in front of you, how many businesses that you have, and how much money that you have, and like how big is the business that like you have that will make you satisfied and happy about it. But it's all about like love what you love to do, and also knowing that the contentment feeling, I guess, is very important. What is enough and what not, because for me, having the people around me that really, it's just really, I don't know how to express that to you. But then again, for me, to have Sweet Bloom Cakes until this year, it was just like really, I'm so grateful just seeing the business growth, but also having the people that's still here. And yeah, it was just that connection that I can't really explain to you. Yeah.
Well, I really admire, that you have basically forged your own path and that you're sticking to your heart. I mean, I know that takes a lot of challenge. I understand with the cultural aspect of what you're talking about. What about, before we go, I want to ask you, if you were giving a masterclass to, let's say, an already experienced cake designer who wants to take it to the next level, what would you recommend a cake designer who wants to grow further? What are some of the biggest things to focus on, biggest tips and advice for them?
The biggest advice to them, it's just, like I said, knowing yourself is very important. The capacity, ability, and the shape of yourself is very important. And what is the intention and the purpose? Why you're doing what you're doing? I think that's very important. Why you're doing what you're doing? It's the starting point, I guess, to that driven the patient driven the patient to the goal that you want to hit. Because again, cake business, I see it as like a form of art. It's really different from the cake business from back like years ago. How everything is just like all about the the round shape stacked together, and you just flowers, the cake topper on top represent the celebration that they celebrate. It's not all about that now. It's more like a fashion, I guess, like, how they just keep evolving. And then, and I guess for me, I think to say to them, it's just like, stay focused. Yeah, just stay focused and trust that you can do it. And it's just like, take every day. It's just like your learning process as well. And never feel that you have finished learning from day to day. And also, I guess, like, you just have to humble yourself, to be honest with you. Whatever the path that's taking you to the stage that you're at, never think that you are up there.
Yeah. And actually, one more question before we go. What do you do for fun and to inspire yourself other than being in the event business and the cake? What else? What do you do just to keep yourself energized and creative and, open?
I love window shopping. I cannot.
Okay.
That was one thing that inspired me. I love all the fashion brand and stuff. So I just try to get my inspiration from there. I love interior design. I like to go to all these, how do you call it? Like, I think in America, they have a lot of like shop, like Pottery Barn, West Elm, and
that's right.
Yeah,
right.
Ton of things to get the inspiration. And I love art decor, museum as well, art gallery and things like that. And lately I've been thinking I want to go to the, fabric store, where they sell all different fabric.
Sure.
Like texture. Love on my cake. So I just I just love things like that. Like, different, what do you call it? Different things like, that you can incorporate on your cake design, and you can also come up with the new things to also create something that perhaps you can, bring it into the cake design, anything
right
that can inspire me. Reading book.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you sharing your story with me, Dewi. I mean, I look at I would love to see the cakes in person, because just looking at the images is so moving. It's really evocative. So I just really appreciate you taking this time and talking to me.
My pleasure, Andy. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I hope I answer all your questions correctly. And yeah, thank you so much for everything. Like, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Me too. Thank you for listening to my conversation with Dewi Kurniadi. Be sure to check out her website, which is sweetbloomcakes.com.au. Again, sweetbloomcakes.com.au. Her social media handle is sweetbloomcakes. You can get all of this in the show notes at our website of theweddingbiz.com. And if you can think of 3 good friends who you feel would enjoy listening to this interview, please share it with them. And also review this wherever you get your podcasts from, and please give it a top rating. That also helps new people find the show. So this Wednesday, I will be re-releasing a wonderful interview with planner designer Matthew Robbins. And of course, next week we'll have a brand new interview. So we'll catch you later on The Wedding Biz.